Hi, I'm Mike, PokeTips Mike, and between my last video and this one, I picked up some sort of weird cold, so sorry if I'm looking like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer in this one. We're jumping into spoilers in 3, 2, 1, let's go. So my friends, these Sword and Shield leaks keep on coming and they don't seem like they're slowing down at all. Somebody out there who got one of the games early just leaked about 11 new Pokemon that we haven't seen at all yet, and it seems like a lot of the Pokemon that just got leaked are evolutions of other Pokemon, so this one is going to be extra interesting. So you guys remember Wooloo, right? That cute little sheep Pokemon that rolls around everywhere? Well, this is Wooloo now, and take a look at it. It looks a lot more intense in its evolved form. Now this Pokemon's name is Dubwool, so Wooloo evolves into Dubwool. Wooloo had these tiny little nubs on the top of its head, but Dubwool has these huge horns. It looks like it's ready to fight. And speaking of fighting, I actually feel like Dubwool might be really good in competitive battling. So if you remember, Wooloo gets the ability Fluffy, which halves the amount of damage it takes from physical attacking moves, with the caveat of making fire moves do twice as much damage. Not a bad trade-off. Now obviously, since this guy is an evolved form, its stats are going to be higher than Wooloo's base stats are, and just looking at the design, it looks like a pretty fluffy Pokemon, so I'm assuming its defense is already going to be pretty naturally high. So combined with the ability Fluffy, this thing might actually be a pretty good physical attacking tank, and it might have some good use in competitive. Just don't send it out against a fire type. Now our next evolution is for the Pokemon Impidimp, you know, the Pokemon that Game Freak forgot about. So this Pokemon right here is called Morgrem. It looks really edgy, it's got that whole like goth look, long hair thing going on, and Impidimp was always a Pokemon I was kinda meh about. It was okay, I kinda liked it, but with Morgrem, I think they really nailed the evolution, and this looks perfect. But Morgrem isn't even the final form, so this guy evolves into another Pokemon named Grimmsnarl, and again, this is another one. When I first saw it, I thought it was fake, but doing my research, it seems like it's gonna be a real Pokemon as well. When I see this thing, the first thing I think is like Green Goblin from Spider-Man, and this thing right here is like a bodybuilder's dream. It has a huge upper chest and huge arms, a tiny little waist, and some big thick thighs. And, you know, a crazy little goblin face, but we're not going to talk about that. This thing, though, really looks wild, and it's going to be crazy in-game seeing your tiny little Impidimp turn into this gigantic, terrifying Pokemon. Also, Impidimp is dark and fairy, so I'm assuming its evolutions are also going to be dark and fairy, and I don't see how Grimmsnarl is a fairy type, but Galarian Ponyta isn't a fairy type. But anyway, speaking of Galarian Ponyta, we all knew this was coming. Here is Galarian Rapidash. I'm really surprised seeing this evolution that it doesn't have wings. When I first found out about Galarian Ponyta, and with the whole live stream, I was assuming that its evolution was going to be like a flying fairy Pegasus, but we were all definitely wrong about the fairy type, and it looks like now we're also wrong about it being a Pegasus. As of right now, we don't have any official typing confirmation, but if it's going to be like Galarian Ponyta, it might just be a pure psychic type. So weird. So now let's move away from new evolutions for a little bit, and I'll show you one of the new Pokemon. So this one right here, its name is Clobbopus, and I love it. So based on the name, it seems like it's going to be a fighting type octopus Pokemon. With this Pokemon here, Clobbopus and Crabrawler, it seems like Game Freak likes to turn a lot of aquatic life into fighting type Pokemon, and I'm not too opposed to that because this design looks incredible. I feel like they should have shown this off in one of the trailers because I know everybody is going to like this thing. It just has that appeal. It has that cute little face and its tiny little arms with the glove-like tips. It looks like a weak Pokemon that really wants to fight, and it makes me want to protect it because I know it can't do it by itself. We were also lucky enough to see Clobbopus's evolution. Now this Pokemon right here, this crazy looking thing, its name is Grapploct, and it seems like Hawlucha's octopus cousin. Now both of these Pokemon's names are obviously inspired off of like fighting. Clobbopus has clobber in the name, and Grapploct has grapple and like lock, like a headlock, so these Pokemon are obviously going to be well versed in fighting, but I'm wondering if they're going to be dual typed at all. It seems kind of obvious since they're based off of aquatic creatures to give them the water type, but if we look at Crabrawler, that Pokemon's just a pure fighting type, even though it's a crab, and most other crabs in the Pokemon world are water types. Although, looking at the yellow in Grapploct's design, this probably seems crazy, but I would love to see this thing be fighting an electric type, just to shake things up, just to make it not another water type Pokemon. I'm not really sure how an electric octopus would make any sense, but it's Pokemon and things don't really have to make sense. Now next, I'm going to show you the other two members of the Corviknight family. So this Pokemon here, its name is Rookidee, and it seems like it's going to be the first stage Pokemon, the starting Pokemon in the Corviknight family. This is more than likely going to be like the regional bird Pokemon of Galar, so you're probably going to get sick of this thing pretty fast. Then Rookidee evolves into Corvisquire, and I kind of like the naming theme here. We've got Corvisquire with Squire being in the name, and Squires were like historically the people that like helped out knights. They ran the errands for them, they held their armor and all that good stuff, and then when it eventually evolves into Corviknight, it's like it takes on the prestigious role of being the knight Pokemon of Galar, flying people around from town to town. And also, you can kind of see that same theme going on there with Rookidee, with the root of that Pokemon's name including Rookie, like a beginner. So you've got the beginner, you've got the Squire, and then eventually you have the knight. I feel like this is a family of winning Pokemon. When I first saw Corviknight, I loved it, and I also really like these two designs as well. They did a great job designing this family of Pokemon. Moving right along, we're gonna take a look at Yamper's evolution, and I feel so good about this Pokemon because I called it a long time ago when we first saw Yamper. When we saw Yamper, I knew this thing was going to get an evolution. I found a few hints in some trailers, I made a video on it, and here it is. I love it when like my speculation turns out to actually be real. Anyway, Yamper's evolution's name is Boltund, so Yamper evolves into Boltund. And taking a look at this thing, it definitely looks like the Pokemon that I predicted a long time ago when we saw this thing's silhouette in the background of the Pokemon gym stadiums. If we could picture this thing sideways running, I could definitely see it matching up 100%. But anyway, now that we're actually seeing Boltund, I'm kind of mixed about this Pokemon. So if this thing is the middle evolution for Yamper, meaning it gets another evolution after this, I think I'll like it a lot more. But if this is the final evolution, if Yamper evolves into Boltund and that's it, I don't think I'm gonna like this Pokemon too much, because in that case, I'll find it really similar to Electrike and Manectric, the other electric dog Pokemon from back in Generation 3. But design-wise, I think it's pretty cool. I like the way it looks. Its face looks so friendly. I want to see it smile. I'm sure in-game, if we play with it in the Pokemon camp, we can see it smiling, and it's going to be such a cute little puppy. And we can't completely see it, but it's looking like its tail is going to be a lightning bolt, and I think that's a really cool design choice. I really like that. And just like I've mentioned a million times in my videos, I love dogs, so give me all the dog Pokemon, I'll be so happy. And now we're getting to the end of this batch of leaked Pokemon. So in my last video I made earlier today, we saw the Gigantamax form for Rolycoly's final evolution. However, we didn't get to see what Rolycoly's final evolution or what its middle evolution actually looks like, but now we actually get to take a look at them. So this right here is the Pokemon that Rolycoly evolves into, and its name is Carkol. I'm actually kind of disappointed its name isn't Rollycoaster. I remember one of the videos I made a few weeks ago covering a potential leak, which we now know is fake based on this. It said its name was going to be Rolycoaster, and that was such a good name. It was way too good to be true, I guess. And this thing looks like a happy minecart on wheels. We can see it's filled with coal. It's got the biggest little smile on its face. The body looks just like a minecart. I think this is a pretty interesting design right here. And just like I was speculating in my last video, this thing might be rock and fire type. We know it's going to be rock type because, you know, just look at it. And also Rolycoly's a pure rock type. But right here in this image, we could start to see the red forming right in the middle of all the coal. So I'm assuming that's like a fire growing inside of it, so I could easily see this thing being part fire type. And then when Carkol evolves, it loses that whole minecart design and becomes this Pokemon right here, Coalossal. Kind of a funny name because it's a colossal Pokemon, it's huge. Now looking at its design, especially the body, it reminds me a lot of the Pokemon Rhydon, Rhyperior, and Golem. them. So I'm really hoping to make it a little more unique. It has that fire typing as well as the rock type. Now I know rock and fire isn't a unique typing, Magcargo from Generation 2 has that, but I feel like Coalossal can really utilize that typing well with its design right here. All that coal on the back, it looks like a volcano. I could easily picture Coalossal shooting like flaming hot coal rocks at other Pokemon, or firing eruptions out of all that coal. I think that would be really cool. This is just another one of those Pokemon though, where it's crazy to look at the base stage Rolycoly, where it's so tiny, and then somehow, some way, it eventually evolves and becomes this colossal Pokemon. And then, like I mentioned in my last video, once Coalossal Gigantamaxes, it becomes whatever this thing is. The Coal Mountain, a volcano, whatever it is, this thing looks crazy. But that's just one of the cool things about Pokemon. You get all these crazy designs, and somehow, someway, they all work together in this one game. Alright my friends, and that's gonna wrap up this batch of new Pokemon Sword and Shield leaks. I'm sure the leaker will be back in a few hours with many more Pokemon that we haven't seen yet, and you know when those Pokemon drop, I'll make a video on it and have you guys covered. In the comment section, let me know which evolution was your favorite. For me, I have to say that Morgrem, the first evolution of Impidimp, it looks so cool, and that's the Pokemon out of all these I like the most. As always my friends, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon content, follow me on Instagram at PokeTips Mike, and my friends, I'll be seeing you in the next one.